Hello and welcome again to day 116. My name is Mary, and today's story title is David's Punishment. Then the Lord sent Nathan the prophet to David to tell him that God would surely punish David for his sin. Nathan said, There were two men in one city. One was rich and the other poor. The rich man had great flocks of sheep and herds of cattle, but the poor man had only one little lamb he had bought. It grew up in his home with his children, drank out of his cup, sat on his lap, and was like a little daughter to him. One day a visitor came to the rich man's house for dinner, but he did not kill one of his own sheep to feed his guest. He robbed the poor man of his lamb, killed it, and cooked it for his friend. When David heard this, he was very angry. He said to Nathan, The man who did this thing deserves to die. He shall give his poor neighbor 4 lambs to replace the one he took. How cruel to treat a poor man like this. Nathan said to David, You are the man who did this. The Lord made you king in place of Saul and gave you a kingdom. You have a great house and many wives. Why then have you done this wickedness in the sight of the Lord? You had Uriah killed by the Ammonites. Then you took his wife. You shall suffer for this, and your wives shall suffer, and your children shall suffer, because you have done this. So I'm going to show you a picture. It says Nathan rebukes David. Here it is. When David heard all this, he realized how he had sinned. He showed such sorrow for his sin that Nathan said to him, The Lord has forgiven your sin, and you shall not die because of it. But the child that Uriah's wife has given you will die. Soon after this, the little child of David and Bathsheba was taken very ill. David prayed to God for the child's life. He ate no food, but lay face down on the floor in sorrow. For 7 days, the child grew worse and worse, and David mourned. When the child died, the nobles were afraid to tell David, saying, If he was in such grief while the child was living, what will he do when he hears the child is dead? And they said to him, Yes, the child is dead. Then David rose up from the floor where he had been lying. He washed his face and put on his kingly robes. He went first to the house of the Lord and worshipped. Then he came home, sat down at his table, and ate. His servants wondered at this, but David said to them, While the child was still alive, I fasted and prayed and wept. I hoped that by prayer to the Lord and through the Lord's mercy, his life might be spared. But now he is dead. My prayers can't help him. I cannot bring him back again. He will not come back to me, but I shall go to him." After this, God gave David and Bathsheba another son, whom they named Solomon. The Lord loved Solomon, and he grew up to be a wise man. And that was the word of the Lord. Now we come to the discussion questions. Number 1. Who did God send to David? How did he tell David that God knew what he had done? Once again, question number 1, the first part. Who did God send to David? Second part, how did he tell David that God knew what he had done? Number 2, what did David do? What did David do? Number 3, when David knew his child's life was in danger, what did he do? When he heard the child had died, what did he do? Why? Number 3 has a few parts. First part, when David knew his child's life was in danger, what did he do? That was the first part. The second, when he learned the child had died, what did he do? Why? So we come to the end of our questions for the day. I'm happy to have you with me, listening and viewing. I hope you feel the blessing through listening to those stories. And may God bless us all. Have a wonderful day. Till next time. Bye for now.